Hi.
Oh, how are you?
I'm doing well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy you're able to join us. So let's get right to it. How are you doing today, Carrie?
I'm great. I'm very glad to be here, and thank you so much for the invite. It really is, the pleasure is really all mine.
Man, it's a pleasure on both ends because you know what, we have to get into it. We have to get into it because I don't want to jump ahead. So let's just go ahead and start with you telling the audience your name, where you're from, what name you write under, and if you use a pen name, why you chose it. I know that's a lot.
No, it's good. I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, where I currently reside. No pen name. I really like my name, and I couldn't find one that I wanted to go by, so I was like, okay, so I can just do this, whatever. Um, yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, so you're from Brooklyn. That's cool. Now, Carrie, when and why did you begin writing?
I was very young. I started when I was about 11 or 12. I was so inspired after reading some of the books by L.J. Smith. Some people might know her as
Mhm.
the author responsible for the Vampire Diaries, but I wasn't a fan of that. I read the Night World series and the Forbidden
Okay.
Game and Dark Visions. And I really loved her stories, and I really dug her style,
Mhm.
and it really made me want to write.
Cool, cool, cool. So at the age of 11, nice. I like it. The more authors I speak with, the more I realize that they, find that niche to write at a very early age.
Mhm.
So you began writing as a young person, but when did you first consider yourself an actual writer?
Um, Now there was this quote. Now I do apologize if I'm butchering the person who quote this, and I don't know who quoted it, but I remember reading it somewhere. Like if you wake up and you want to write, and you're happy doing it, and it's all you can think about, and you're just content. And I'm paraphrasing this, mind you.
Mhm.
Then you're a writer. Like forget about making money, forget about having anything out. That's what makes you a writer first and foremost.
Absolutely. And I think that can be applicable to anything that you do. Whatever your passion is, that moment that you go ahead and say, you know what, this is what I'm doing. And you're not doing it for the likes, the views, the shares, but you're just doing it because you love to do it. Then that's when it's,
Yes.
something. And so I can appreciate you saying that moment when you said, I'm doing it and that's what it is. I'm a writer.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Now, are you an independent author? Are you self-published? Are you with a publishing company? Like, what's going on with you?
no, I'm with a publishing company. It's new, Brooklyn based, Tethys Night Sky Publishing.
Okay, okay. And how's your experience thus far?
It's great. I'm one of the first writers that they published, but
Cool.
in about by the end of 2021, they're going to be looking for more.
Cool.
So it's really great. I like the company. I like that they're all about diversity. They're
Mhm,
all about original ideas.
mhm.
It's really awesome, and it started in my home city, so
So you have to
we're
write.
Brooklyn. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, what I can say from coordinating with your publisher to get you onto the podcast. They're truly professional, they're timely, and I think that they have some good things coming for them in the future with their other authors. So I, wish you the best on your journey with them.
Thank
Now,
you.
tell us, what is the name of the book you're currently promoting and what is it about?
The book that I'm currently promoting is called The Fox Demon's Kiss. It features an African American woman who goes to Japan and just gets in a whole lot of trouble that she never expected. But to sum it up, it works out in the end. She discovers some things about herself and the world, and she finds love unexpectedly in a really hopeless situation. But yeah, to sum it up in a nutshell.
Carrie, I don't know if trouble is necessarily the best word for what happened. in that book. But okay, we're gonna roll with it. We'll roll with that. You know, it's your book. So but tell us, please, what is the inspiration to write this book? You know, how did the idea come about?
Um, in school, I studied English language and literature, so I was exposed to a lot of different works. And one of the works I was exposed to was some Japanese literature, and that made me want to do some independent study on my own. I learned about Japanese folklore, different cultures. Huge fan of Japanese animation, which
Okay.
also helped cultivate my knowledge of the folklore. Um, for instance, like Rumiko Takahashi, she's behind Inuyasha. She brings up foxes, even though her center is like, you know, the series basically focuses on a dog demon. But
Mhm.
foxes, or as they say in Japan, kitsune, is really huge in Japan. The folklore and the stories behind them as tricksters, as
Mhm.
demons, as spirits. And I just wanted to sort of like find something original and sort of like merge it with sort of like New York style to, you know, see how they marry. And there you have my book.
Nice. And you know, in my review, I mentioned that while I was reading your book, it was during the same time that my husband began playing the Ghost of Shushima. And just to see the similarities with the folklore, it was very it made me appreciate your work even more to know the amount of research in you know how you have paid attention to detail. And a nerd like me, I'm looking up the words. Like, wait a minute, okay, I think this is what it means, but I want to make sure, or even trying to see how it's pronounced. And I think that that is important when you're trying to get a reader to delve into another culture outside of their own, because some people can kind of just pass over and never truly get like what's
Yeah,
happening. Like, yeah, I know that
totally
you
agree.
connect it at the end, you know, everything is explained. But sometimes, you know, I want to know like right now, like, oh, okay, that makes even more sense now. So
Mhm.
I appreciated the amount of effort you put in your research and remaining true to the Japanese folklore, because it's truly
Mhm.
amazing.
Thank you so much. I wholeheartedly appreciate that.
Oh yeah, even with you said that your inspiration was partly Japanese anime. So does that is that coupled with why you have some of the illustrations?
Like, oh, yes, because I remember like seeing some Japanese anime, they feature foxes or sort of like human animal hybrids, and we would refer to them as shifters. Like more in America, we have our big thing is werewolves, and but you know when you know the werewolves transform, you know they're hideous monsters. They don't have like that human hair werewolf hybrid look going. They
Right,
just turn into monster and they eat you. But I liked how
right.
you know you can still communicate as
Mhm,
far as you know
mhm.
the folklore is concerned, and so I wanted to use some of that.
Absolutely.
There's no conversation with the werewolves, and I mean,
It's nothing. And it was it's hard to really talk without really revealing too much, but one of the things is that being able he was more comfortable being him in his true form than in the human form or whatever. So being able to embrace both, even though it's like a hybrid, is not just simply, you know, looking as a fox, but there's fox qualities and human qualities all melded together as one. So I like how you brought that to life, because you have to really use your imagination to visualize this, especially with the um, how large in comparison to, you know, what humans would be. But it was fascinating for me. Now, the book, it encompasses a lot of folklore. Does any of the experiences in the book, is it based on yourself or someone that you know?
no. Well, my cousin, I actually based Dana's little sister Nikki
Mhm.
on my cousin Nicole.
Okay.
Not too much because she's not going to try to suit me here. But yeah, she inspired that character. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Inspiration, not like a complete rendition. You were just an inspiration. So, Keri, what was the hardest part of writing the book?
I would say the description, mainly because I have never been to Japan.
Mm,
Um, it's a place where I've always wanted to visit, particularly Tokyo, not Kyoto, but I have. So when I was doing the research, I spent a lot of time um, sort of practicing visualization after seeing some of the photos and trying to like capture it in words,
yeah.
and that saved me about $4,000. So I was like, how they say it, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
So that was really hard. Kyoto, based on the photographs, it's a really beautiful place. I think everyone should visit it at least once. I
Mhm.
would definitely like to go there in the future.
And I definitely was able to visualize. The descriptions are just so there's so much detail, that you encompass, and even especially when you're discussing the mountains, and even though it was in the winter time, it still was so beautiful in that season, and you can only imagine how much more beautiful it was in the spring and summer. And hopefully, I don't know, I think we should get that. I don't We'll get back to that, but I think that I think we'll be able to get that, but who knows. Now, we talked about the hardest part. What was the easiest part for you?
The easiest part was the dialogue. It really flowed. Um, I I really enjoyed it. Some parts I wanted to do serious, but I also wanted to sort of like break the ice um, with sort of Hiko's part, because I guess as the hero, I guess you always want a serious hero, but sometimes I try to throw in parts where he's being sarcastic or oblivious to
Yeah,
try to like sort of like get him out of that character every so often.
absolutely. And I think that helped me in my likability, and how much I became on his team, because like, okay, he might be classified as this, but the more he speaks and the more you hear of his story and his background, the more you like him, and
Yeah.
you learn his pain, and you understand a little more why he is the way he is, versus going off of perception, and you
Yes.
actually get to know the person on the inside. And that's when you can truly make a determination of how you will welcome or not welcome that person in your life. And so I love the
Yes.
way that you brought that out with him, because he is a very complicated individual. Now, did you learn anything in the process of writing your book?
I learned that when you're writing, definitely give it time.
Mhm.
I actually wrote this 7 years ago.
Wow.
Um, and I took a break from writing for a while, when I went to get my master's and work. And before I offered it up to be published, um, I probably looked over it about 3 times. And
Mhm.
it's a long book. So after a while, I was bored with it. I started to hate it because I kept reading it,
Wow.
and just to try to clean it up.
Mhm.
And there's certain things I tightened up towards the end, but you won't be able to do it or perfect it as much without dedicating the time to do that. So I would say don't be in a rush. Try to really give your craft as much care as possible.
I can respect that. I like that. Give it time. Don't rush it. Let it come out when it needs to. Absolutely wonderful. And you say that after probably because it's your project, and that you began to hate it, is like I was so captivated. Like, I'm telling you, if I could have had enough time in the day where I didn't have to do other functions as a mother, as a wife, and just sit and read, I probably would have completed it in one day. But I probably say I between the course of the 2 days, it didn't take me any more than maybe 3 to 5 hours to read the book. And I'm like, I just can't get enough. I just have to keep turning, like, wait, I gotta go to bed. Wait, I gotta go do this. Like, no, it's
Oh, that's very flattering. I'm very happy that you said that.
I'm
Because you're
telling
like,
you, like I was captivated from the beginning to the end, especially like as soon as we get on a train, it's all over with from there. But besides, what you learned, is there a message in your novel that you would like for your readers to grasp?
Um, this is probably a common message that's in a lot of books out there, but I think it's still important and still holds weight even today. I would say don't judge a book by its cover, and certainly let a person's actions speak for them. Because for me, Sotohito's character, he has a strong resolve, but I don't think it's enough for him to say that. I try to like put in the story things that he does to really shows that he's his sincerity without giving it too much away. And I feel like, those are important traits that we all should look for in people, friends, and anybody who we want to have in our lives. Genuine, good people. What are their actions versus their words?
I certainly definitely agree with that. Um, Torihiko he's quite amazing, and it's just from the idea that one of the things that he says is like, I can see how you feel that way, but you would have to determine if that's what I am. And I can't tell you, you can tell somebody who you are, but if they refuse to believe it, then that's on them.
Yeah.
Type thing. So it's definitely an interesting concept, because when you think of a demon, you're thinking, okay, what am I about to get myself into? Like, what am I doing here? But again, I think that the message that you would like for your readers to grasp is an important one that we can apply in our everyday lives, for sure. Now, Keri, if you had to do it all over again, would you change anything about your book?
Well, I I initially meant for it to be a standalone,
Mm,
um, while also, you know, leaving an opening where it could move forward.
mhm.
Um, but that might have been a mistake because I've been asked, can we well, what happens to them? Um, can we see them again? And I'm already working on something else, so um, so I'm like, oh, okay, so maybe at some point in the future, maybe we'll see them again, based on request. I said if I get about 10 more people, I was like, all right, fine.
Okay, well, let
But
me
I'm
start letting
close.
people know that I need 10 more people. Y'all listening, listen. I need 10 more people to go ahead and hit Carrie up and let her know we need another book. Okay, I just out there. No, but I think that that's it's funny because I took this writing class before from an author who's published in a traditional sense, and he was saying that there's never just one book. There's always an opening somewhere somehow, that even if it's not going to be a sequel, it could be a prequel, it can be a standalone, but you can add additional characters. Like, it's never just one book. So even if we have to wait, I'm willing to wait because you have to write what comes to you. And if you're on another project, I'll accept it for now, but in the future, if we could please. No, I would love to see the story continue. However, it was written in a way that even if the story doesn't continue, I'm not disappointed. And I think that's important as well. Even if you're going to leave that option available, I don't want to be disappointed in the end. I still want everything,
That's the
to
fear
be
with continuing
addressed.
it. Like the next book, you're like, well, did they mess it up? Did they get it right? Is it trash? Is it terrible?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's
Like, is
also
it
the risk.
peace, or is it any? Can we top what's already happened? you know. But
Yeah.
definitely, I definitely understand that you have other projects and things come up, especially if you wrote the book 7 years ago. Things have changed, and I've noticed a lot of writings are focusing on social injustice and things like that. So the times kind of motivate and change which directions you want to go in. So either
Yes.
way, I'm expecting more work from you.
Thank you.
You're definitely talented, and I just cannot wait. So, how many books have you written?
Um, 9.
9. Well, okay. Now, are these readily accessible or?
No. When I was young, before I had a computer, I just took out that loose leaf and that pen, and I just went to work.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, I would have to make some changes because, you know, 36-year-old Carrie and maybe 13-year-old Carrie's writing is a bit different, and it should be. Thank God.
Absolutely.
Um, so so there's a few things that I hope to, with the publisher's approval, because they have the final say.
Oh, absolutely.
They decide, okay, well, can we make some money off of this? Because I'm very passionate about writing, but it's
Mhm.
also a business.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
Yes.
um, so if I get approved, I would like to sort of like give those other stories a chance to get some limelight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's nice to know that despite how many that are actually published, that there's so much creativity, that's within you that you've already, brought it to life. And it's just a matter of time because we're going to manifest that and speak it into reality before, the next books become published. And again, I wish you the best on that, especially considering you've written 9 books. I love it. Absolutely love it. Now, out of those books, of course, I know they're not all published. Which is your favorite?
Um, the one that I hope to publish in 2021 when I pitch it.
Okay.
Um, I can't give too much away,
Oh, of course.
but I will say that it does feature aspects of social injustice.
Mhm.
I want to include that. It wasn't included heavily before, but I believe, given the political climate that we're in, it's really important to sort of like mention that and make readers aware. I mean, some are already aware, but even if they're already aware, they can appreciate, somebody reaching out and acknowledging that.
Absolutely. And you never know who is in your audience, and they may not know, and they may need some
Mhm.
education. And
Yeah.
and that's why it's important that we have books and literature, because when you choose not to acknowledge what's right in front of your face, sometimes delving into the fictional world, or even if it's on a nonfiction basis, but it's on these pages, you're more readily and more apt to accept what's happening, and you have time to digest it yourself
Yes.
before it just being thrown into your face. You're digesting it at your pace and at your level. And hopefully, after reflecting on what you've read, it makes a difference.
Yes. That's my hope.
Absolutely.
But people
Right.
it
The
might just go
hope.
over somebody's head, but that's my hope.
It just might. You never know.
They'll
But
just like, oh,
you
look,
know
all
you
these
did
cool
your part.
monsters.
Yes, yes, yes. Now, I think I already know the answer to this question, but do you plan on releasing any other books in the future?
Yes. Um, I hope that I can just probably do 3, because as much as I love writing, I'm sorry about that.
Mhm.
As much as I love writing, it takes a lot of time.
Absolutely.
Um, some people say that they can finish writing a book within 4 months, and I was like, whew, this book, it took me a year.
Mhm.
With changing things and making sure that things made sense. It took some time, and I'd like to take my time. I know I might have to speed it up, but yeah, it is a lot of work, even if you love it.
Yes, yes. And even with that, because I know you're working with a publisher, so there's going to be deadlines and things that you have to adhere to, but you have to make sure it's right. And you
Yes,
turn in something and it's just not where it needs to be yet. And
trash, total
hopefully,
trash.
hopefully, you're working with a publisher that understands that and realizes that, like, okay, I know we said this, but I think we need to do this type thing. And everyone's on the same page. and with the hope of understanding that it's right when it's right,
Yes.
and sometimes it just takes a little bit more. But again, I wish you the best in your relationship with your publisher. And I'm sorry, pronounce it for me again.
Tethys, Night
Tethys.
Sky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tethys Night Sky. Yes. My experience with them thus far, I really like them. So I hope it continues that way for you as well. Now, I know it's early in your published writing career, but what separates you from other authors in your genre?
Um, I think authors all like to think that we're severely unique, and maybe in some aspect that's true, but there's always something that sort of like ties us all together. I think for me is I'm really heavy into inclusion. Like, I really want to include characters from different races in my book. I find that sometimes when I read books, um, there's not, or maybe I haven't read one that was like really heavy, all inclusive yet.
Mhm.
And if anybody knows it, they can recommend it. Um, but I feel like even when I was doing research about Japan, there's just so much richness in other cultures that we don't get to see often. And I think it's worth learning about. So I want more diversity. I want more characters. I
Mhm.
want more people involved. So, um, and if there's another author like that, then they're a kindred spirit of mine.
Yes.
But
And it's important because even with my book club, I speak about how life is about perspective and looking at it outside of your own. And that's how we learn to be better and how we grow and improve to be the best versions of ourselves. If we only focus on what we know, we'll never, you're limiting
yeah,
yourself so much. You
you have
need
to
to
definitely expand, go outside the box,
expand,
and really
go
like do
outside
your
and
research.
learn something different. And you just might understand why things are the way they are once you start looking at it outside of your own perspective. So I definitely understand the need for diversity when reading. That's why I like to read all types of genres. I don't want to stay, in just one, or I only want to read uh, large publishing companies, or I'm not going to mess with independents, or I'm not going to work with the smaller ones, because there's so much. Like, there's
Yeah.
no way possible I can read every book that's ever been written. I just won't live long enough for it. However, I want to read as many and as I can in across a wide spectrum to improve my quality of life,
Yes.
and
And
that's what.
that's definitely a good thing. I would recommend that to anybody, to sort of like consider having a more diverse repertoire of books, because you never know. There's always something new to learn or to grasp or to appreciate.
Yes, yes, yes. Now, what's your experience with working with others in the writing community? Excuse me.
Well, I would say in the writing community, I think most writers, for the most part, they've been very supportive and helpful.
Mhm.
Um, but writing is so subjective, so I would advise anybody to be careful. For example, like sometimes with mainstream publishers, I like a lot of the works that they produce,
Mhm.
but I don't always agree that some of them should be bestsellers, but I still enjoy it.
Mhm.
But, you know, that's where it comes in with being diverse and being open, because sometimes when you have exposure, it depends on new marketing capabilities and things like that. So
Mhm.
sometimes you really have to dig deep and be open. And with the writing community, it gives you that,
Mhm.
because you stumble upon writers who's interested in writing about a whole world of different things. And it's interesting, it's fascinating. It might not necessarily be um, the next New York Times bestseller, but
Mhm.
it's still worth reading and giving it a shot.
Absolutely.
And you have to, I think it's worthwhile to be open. And because even with some reviews, even when I've done reviews, I try not to let my own personal preference get in the way. I try to hold back and try to see the work for as it is. And sometimes with reviewers, they rate something based on what they like and their preference. And I guess that's where we get the subjective notion, but it's very important to be open.
Absolutely. And even with how I write my reviews, I don't say it was good, it was bad. That's really not what it's about. I write my review with what spoke to my soul, what touched me, what message I received from the writing, because no matter how good or how bad the writing was, you can always get something from it. And I think
I totally agree.
that's what reviews should truly be about, because that's how you gain multiple perspectives. But once you start bashing someone's work who put untold number of hours into producing it, I just think that is absolutely crazy. And I think that a lot of times, because of clout chasing and things like that, that's how some reviewers begin to review, and they're like, oh, they're really harsh, so I would love to see what happens with it. It's all about that, and I just rather not see it that way. And additionally, the whole star system, like I don't think that should even is just crazy. I just wish that people would tell more what they got from the book versus I didn't like it, because there's books I've read this year and in years prior that I didn't like, but I still got something from it. And if you
Yeah.
focus on that, it's better. No different than focus on the positive. You think positive things happen. Negative, negative things happen. So that's just me. I can go on and on about that. So I'm sorry. Now, do you have any advice for other writers?
I would say you certainly have to have a thick layer of skin, more like steel, and also be open to suggestions and keep writing. Um, a lot of times, writers, you don't want to have the attitude that you're the best writer in the world and no one can tell you anything. You do want to I mean, sometimes it's not bad when someone mentions what they don't like or what they found problematic, because you can use even the negative sometimes to help, strengthen your process. But you won't be able to get there unless you write and you have something out there for people to cultivate.
Yes, yes. And when you say, take the negative too, absolutely. But you have to be balanced.
Yes.
Don't just bash. But if there was something, like if there was something I would like, it would be this type thing. And I know that's like, um we don't want to stroke people's egos and things like that, but everyone has something that they can approve upon. There is no perfection in this world. And once you
No.
accept that and know that, yeah, I always can build upon this. It's a complicated situation, but definitely you should be able to take criticism and feedback. I think it's more so your intent. Is your intent
Yes.
to help me improve, or are you just trying to drag me? If that's the
Well
case,
said. Well said. There's a lot of draggers out there.
yes, yes. All right. Now, what's your favorite book of all time, Keri?
That's a very hard question.
It
I've
is.
liked so many. I can't say one, and I feel like the other book is looking at me with judgmental eyes. You know, I that's what maybe that's the downside to being so open to it. You can't really choose. I mean, there's so many great works and so many great works I've yet to read.
Yeah.
So I can't say. I know that was a very poor response.
Actually, I don't think it's a poor response, because I don't even have an answer to that question. And I would say that it would be more so my favorite book as of now, or through this year, what book appealed to me the most. I probably could answer that question. But favorite of all time, I have too many. I can't say right now, because so many different books have helped me get to be where I am now. And I respect them touching me and moving me and helping me grow. to be the best version of myself. So
Yes.
I can't just say it's just one that would be my favorite, but I can say of late what speaks to me the most.
Ah.
So I can take that answer, believe it or not. Now, are you reading anything now?
Yes. I'm currently reading Vampire Hunter D,
Okay.
which is by Hideyuki Kokicho. It was written originally in the late 80s, and a lot of his books were inspired by some of the Hammer horror of the 60s, featuring Christopher Lee and some of the old vampires, where they were actually monsters and
Mhm.
not, dateable characters like you see today.
Yes.
They kill you. So I think it's based on a very dystopian society, and it's very interesting. And one thing about me is when I start a series, now this is my love-hate relationship. Um, if I start a series, I have to finish it.
Mhm.
And there's like 29 books to this series, and I'm on 14.
Oh, well, I
So
mean, goodness. I mean, you're making it though. I don't know if I would. I don't know. That's some commitment there.
yeah, I might have to take a break at some point to give something else a chance.
Yes.
But yeah, that's what I'm reading currently.
Okay. Nice. 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 Now, after all of that is said and done, and we talked about the Fox Demons Kiss, your experience with your publishing company, Tethys Night Sky Publishing, the writing community. Is there anything else specific you want to say to your current and future readers?
Um, I would like to say thank you for your support. Thank you for looking at the cover of my book and be like, oh, let me just see what it's about. Thank you for giving me a chance to sort of like share my story. I know the goal is to make money, but I think it's really something wonderful when you can share your work with others. And it's just as simple as that, where you can share your work with others and you made them happy or you gave them some sort of escape, no matter how temporary, from the chaos that we're in now.
Yes.
It, thank you.
And I would like to just thank you because this beauty here, guys, I'm telling y'all, you have got to check this out. This is Keri's first. I'm certain, I'm confident it will not be her
Mhm.
last. And I look forward to what else you have to offer us. It's been wonderful. I did not realize it was Christmas Eve when I set the date for this interview. I was just like, oh, Thursdays the kids are gone, and guess what? The kids are home. So I do apologize, but thank you for remaining with the commitment to it. And I hope I haven't encroached too much upon you on this day.
No, the pleasure was all mine. I'm very happy for the invite. I look forward to your future interviews, and that'll let me know who else I can pick up and read about. So I'm
Thank,
very grateful and extraordinarily humbled.
thank you. Thank you so much. Now, please tell us how can we stay up to date with Keri Moore?
You can follow me on social media, and we'll provide a link. Follow me on Tethys Night Sky, Twitter, Instagram, and my Facebook page. And you can also subscribe to the site from updates on my new book or even my blog. And I'm also on Goodreads, and I respond to people's questions.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. That's nice, especially when you're able to connect with your readers and
Oh, I love that.
with them and everything. I think that's very nice when authors have that ability. I know sometimes authors get so big where they can't do it as much. So I hope you truly embrace these moments right now when you still have the time, to have that intimate relationship with your readers, because that's what
It's
makes
great.
continue to write and have that motivation. But I certainly appreciate you joining us today, Keri. Thank you so much. It was wonderful. I loved your book, and I'll definitely have many, many more things to say about you in the future, I'm sure. And this will be available on many outlets. So hopefully you'll gain.
Thank you so much, everyone.
And
And
don't
happy holiday.
Yes, and don't forget, we need 10 more people to inspire this continuation somehow, some way. It might be, you know, a standalone something. I don't know, but 10 more. It's up to y'all. I did my part.
You know where to find me. Okay, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank
and
you,
everyone,
you
happy
too.
holiday.
And to my listeners and viewers, as always, happy reading, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.